Hi everyone. So in this video, we are going to look into arrays in C#. And we use arrays in C# to store group of elements together in memory. And the condition being that all the elements have to be of the same data type, right? So let's see like how we can define arrays in C#. So let's start with an array of integers. So let's say, so I want to declare an array. So let's call it as numbers equals to new int. And then we can define the size of the array, right? How many elements do we want to store in this array? Okay, so this is an array. The name of the array is numbers, and it can be used to store 10 elements. So now in order to store elements in this array, what I can say is, and because arrays are indexed from 0, so I can say numbers of 0 equals to whatever number, right? I can say numbers of 1 equals to 2. So you get the point. So this is one way to initialize an array, and then how do we store elements in an array? So the same thing, what we can also do is, so I can say, let's call it as numbers1 equals to, so I can directly put all the elements in this array. So I can say 3, 5, 7, 8, 9. Defines an array. The name of the array is numbers1, and these are the elements of this array, right? So the length of this array becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so these are single dimensional arrays, right? Single dimension, basically these are like one dimensional arrays. So we can also create multi-dimensional arrays in C#. And also, right, these are like of arrays of type integer. Similarly, I can also create a string type of array. So I can call it as names equals to new and then I can say 0. This is how I define a string type of array. So let's see how we can build two-dimensional arrays. So the syntax for building two-dimensional arrays is something like this. So I'll use, so this basically states the dimension. So this means that this array is going to be of 2 dimensions. So I'll call it as let's see, 2, 4. All right. So this is a 2-dimensional arrays, and what I can do here is, let's call it as 2D. So now because it is 2 dimensions, so I have to give the position. So I have to say 0, 0, and on 0, 0, I want to store something, let's say 3. So this is how I would initialize numbers in a 2D array. Right. Another way to initialize this is, I can say int this. So I can directly, because this is like multiple arrays and this is 2 by 4, I can say 1, 2, 3, 4, then store another array, right? 2, 5, 6. This is how I initialize a 2D array. Finally, so we have 3 type of arrays. So we have single dimension, now we have 2 dimensions, and there's also 2-dimensional, or I can have like multiple, like 3-dimensional as well, right? So I can use another comma, and that would become a 3D array. And finally, we have something called as a jagged array, right? So in a 2D array, basically all the arrays are of same size, right? Same length. So for example, this one has 2 arrays of length 4. Now, if you have a requirement wherein like all the arrays within a multi-dimensional array, they're of different sizes and you're not aware about the sizes, then you can use something called as a jagged array. So jagged arrays, this is how you define them. Say 6. Jagged array of 0. And on this, basically the first array in this jagged array. So I can put something like 1, 2, 3. Let's say the first array is of length 4. Right? So I can similarly, so I can have the first array. It could be of different size. So let's say this one is of length size 5. So I can say 5. Okay. So this was an example of jagged arrays. So let's see a few of the array methods that we have. So let's say, for example, I want to know like how many elements are there in an array. So in that case, I can use dot write line. Length. So numbers dot length. So in this case, should be 10. So I'll say let's say what gets printed. Okay, so this is the length of this array. This is all about arrays. So use arrays when you are sure about the length of the elements that you want to store at compile time, right? Because if you see here at compile time, we have to give, we should be aware about the length that we want to store in memory, right? So there are like other type of collections in which you don't, if you're not aware about the length, how many elements you want to store in memory, and you want basically a dynamic array. In that case, we usually use something called as list in C#. So that we would see later in one of our videos, which would be focused on collections. Okay, so that's all for arrays. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.